Hey, everybody, we are live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today I have a returning guest with me. I have John is here from Flippin Ain't Easy. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well. Thanks for
All
jumping
right.
on and hanging out with me today. It's been a while since I got a chance to catch up with you. So,
Yeah.
real quick, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience in case they don't know who you are. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and tell them what it is that you do.
Well, my name is John. I have a YouTube channel, Flippin Ain't Easy, and
Yeah.
I am primarily an eBay reseller. Even though I resell on, a little bit here on Mercari, a little bit on Amazon, that type of thing. And so that's kind of what I do. I'm a reseller first, and YouTuber second, and we have about a little over 10,000 subs right now on YouTube. And as I was talking to Jeff, you have to juggle the whole eBay thing and the YouTube thing, and that's kind of what I do.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, but yeah, I commend you. Yeah. Sometimes running a YouTube channel is a lot of work. It's not like you can just make one video a month and just sit back and take it easy. You got to kind of continuously kind of feed the beast. Same way with your reselling business. You got to be able to have items listed and just like you have videos going up consistently. So
Yeah.
John, you live in Vegas, right? Hey, I saw the video. You got a chance to meet up with that guy up in Vegas. How did that convention go that you went to? Was it ASD or something?
Well, ASD was out here. I didn't go to the actual convention. So what I did was I hit up Rockstar Flipper and myself and a guy named Archie. He's also known on my channel as Biscuit Butt. He kind of met us. He was there out there with um, Rockstar Flipper was out there with Rally Roots, and they had a lot of people who followed their channel out there and just out in the downtown area, kind of just hanging out, having a good time. So we went down there to kind of mingle and meet people, but we really didn't go to the ASD side. I think it was the Boss Seller Convention or something that they had down there. I
Yeah.
did go to ASD itself, the convention, but not to meet anyone, to try to do some sourcing, which we actually did. But the actual eBay side of it, where everyone got together and kind of did their like their workshops and all that, we didn't participate in that part.
But that's fine. Is the funny thing is like you got 10,000 subscribers now. So whenever you leave the house, you may not be looking to meet people, and you're gonna go out. People will recognize you. So
That
so
happened.
John,
That did happen. It was really someone's like, "Hey, I know you." It's like, yeah,
it's
saw me
like
on YouTube.
you look familiar. I can't quite place you, but I
Right.
recognize you from somewhere. Right? It takes
Yeah.
a minute or two to figure it out. So anyways, man, tell everybody a little bit about your journey of why you started your YouTube channel, and tell them a little bit about how you got started reselling a little bit, because we're going to be talking all about the way that you run your business. You get big like pallets of like Amazon customer returns. You get like big pallets of merchandise.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk a little bit about how you run your business. And so, well, first of all, I want to get started and kind of what made you start your YouTube channel, and how did you get started into reselling a little bit?
Well, it starts with reselling. So reselling, I've been doing this since like 2002, and started selling computer electronic components that we found at a computer like a computer swap meet, and we went there and found some pretty good deals on stuff. And I knew a little bit about, at the time, computer components, to know that I was getting a good deal. So just started flipping that stuff on eBay and then going back every other weekend. And that's kind of what we did on the side. I worked for 26 years at a large corporation, and back in 2019, the beginning of 2019, well, really late 2018, they told us they were going to close our office and sort of gave us a 60-day ultimatum as to, you can either move to the other side of the country, take a pay cut, step down for management, or you can take a severance package and just figure it out and cut your ties. So I took the latter option, took the severance package, bought merchandise, because I was already for years doing this on the side. So I figured, man, maybe I can do this full time. And so I had jokingly talked about making a YouTube channel because I was doing this part time and was thinking about doing it. But, we talk about it. They say the hardest thing to do with YouTube is getting started. So I never got started. And after about a year of doing this full time, I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to make that channel, because when I was working full time, I was in the training department. I was, did travel to Florida to train people. I helped and just coached people. That's kind of what I did. And that was a void that was missing when I wasn't working 9 to 5 anymore. And I thought that having a YouTube channel would kind of do that. And it has. It's been kind of cool to be able to help people. And, you know, you make these videos and you don't think you're making that much of an impact on somebody until you get that message that says, hey, you really helped me with this situation. And then it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, it's always nice when you you look in and you get like a long, paragraph message and people talk about how you have helped impact their life in some way, and so
Right.
it's worth way more than ad revenue from YouTube. So I just wanted to say hello real quick to Designs by Josie is here. If you guys have questions for our guests, you can drop it in the chat. We're live on YouTube and Twitch right now. So tell me a little bit about how your business is run, because every time I see you, you look like you've just got boxes and boxes of merchandise like in your garage. So you run everything kind of a one-man show out of your garage, out of your house. Where do you store everything, and kind of how do you go about sourcing and getting your merchandise?
Well, that's right. I do almost everything from the house. Most everything gets staged inside my garage, and then we do the listing process. We start the listing process in there after we test and evaluate. But I can tell you the bulk of my business has been with liquidation. I can tell you, though, over the last month and a half, 2 months, it's been really the hardest part of reselling for me, because for whatever reason, and I have my suspicions that the liquidation that I'm used to getting is sort of dried up. Now, that said, I have 3 pallets that I'm picking up on Monday, which is a good thing. But when the way I do my business is I'll buy pallets and I'll buy stuff to back up the stuff that I'm currently working on, so that there's no real stress on me to continually have merchandise. I'll always have merchandise as long as I kind of have backup stuff that I always keep in queue, for lack of a better. And I pretty much used all that up over the last 2 months because I haven't been able to find any liquidation. And I think it's a lot of these bin stores that are popping up, the demand for these truckloads of Amazon return goods, and it's made it more difficult to find the merchandise that I buy at the price that I buy it for. So thankfully, found some stuff here that I'm picking up on Monday, and I can get back on track. It got to the point, and you know what? Sometimes you need this kind of adversity, because it got to the point where I was searching for ways to find merchandise to source. So, I do what a lot of my viewers do, and I went to a thrift store, local Goodwill here. And
how did that go?
Well, it went well. I mean, it's a store that I passed up many, many times for the last couple of years that I've been living out here. And it only made me wish that I did that sooner. Maybe make a trip once, maybe twice a week, because I like to buy electronics. You find a lot of vintage electronics and things like that.
Right.
And these were easy flips, and it helped me supplement my lack of merchandise to resell over that 2-month period. Not as much as I'd like to, but something's better than nothing. So I learned from that experience, fortunately, that you have to be willing to branch out. And I mean, had I not, I'd be in a world of hurt right now. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been trying to buy big bulk lots of merchandise where if you can order 500 or 1,000 units at one time and have it shipped to your door. If I was going around from yard sale to yard sale or thrift store to thrift store, or hitting up flea markets and pawn shops, for me to source 1,000 items would take forever. The amount of time that it just takes you to kind of hand pick it. So I've been getting big, like I've been ordering big bulk lots of stuff. Like, for example, like this, and you can have stuff like this brand new in the shrink wrap shipped to your door. And whenever you do that, when you get your buy costs below 50 cents a piece, and you're turning around and able to resell them for anywhere from $15 to $20 a piece, that kind of cuts out your sourcing time. So that definitely helps. And then, it's okay to go and hit up, thrift stores and pawn shops. But I've noticed is like I'll hit up a thrift store or a pawn shop, and you go there and clean them out, and you might have to wait 2-3 weeks for them to kind of backfill and restock their shelves again. They don't just instantly restock their shelves every day of merchandise that you're looking for. So that definitely helps. Let me say hello to some people here in the chat. I wanted to say hello to Laura. Laura is here in the chat. Thanks for jumping on and hanging out with us. I wanted to say hey to Cali Reseller. Louise is here in the chat. I wanted to say hello to Designs by Josie is here. Callie Reseller Louise says, hey, Jeff and John. Hey, Callie, thanks for coming by. And we had a few questions here in the chat. Says Designs by Josie says, is there anything that you won't resell?
Oh, there's lots of things. Well, I mean, for the most part, things that are large. Now, it's funny. I was just on the Reseller Hangout podcast with Rob and Melissa on I believe it was on Monday, and they sell large. I mean, large stuff that you would have to pay for freight. And it kind of made me think, well, it's working for them. They're making good money doing that. But for me, it's trying to keep the item as small as possible on eBay because it keeps the cost of shipping as low as possible. But then again, I still gravitate to the larger items. I do not like to sell clothing. It's another thing because the market is just so saturated. And when you think of reselling on eBay, I think most people think, well, I'll go buy a bunch of clothing. But that's because, that's the first thing. A lot of people like selling clothing. But when you get into a market that's so saturated, the competition is such where it's really hard to make a profit. And you have to have a huge store. We're talking thousands of items priced at a good price. And, as Jeff said, you have to be able to get your items at a cost to where you can beat your competition. They may have sourced that at the same item that you're selling at a thrift store for $2 to $3, but if you're into that item for 50 cents, you have a lot more room to do something than they do. So yeah, those are kind of the things I don't sell for the most part. But to be honest with you, if I can buy it for $2 and flip it for 20 or more in some cases, then hey, I'll flip anything. Like for instance, this whole get up that I'm wearing right now, I was just at the Raiders stadium. I'm in Vegas, and I won a $500 gift card. My son and I split it. And I went there and they had a 50 to 60% off everything like today and the next 2 days. So it was the perfect time to go. And I ran out of things to buy, and I picked up some of these. They are these tackling dummies. They're inflatable tackling dummies, and they're new, and $4 each. I can flip these for 20. These are authentic merchandise. I can flip this at least $20. And so kind of bought a bunch of those. And if you go to, and I'm sure that if you all are resellers, you have that mentality. You go into the store probably for a certain need, and then you find you have that mentality that says, well, hey, what will these sell for? You're not even there to buy stuff to resell, but your mind goes to that place where you're thinking of how much can I make if I was to buy and resell that. So anything is what I'll sell.
Yeah, for sure. If you have that mentality where you're like sometimes I'll go to Walmart and I'll pick up groceries and I'm like, let me creep over here to the clearance section and see what they have. Even if you're not really there specifically looking for stuff to resell, but I'll just be like, okay, let me see. I'll give myself a challenge. Let's see if I can find something on clearance that would pay to offset the money that I spend in groceries today. So it's just because you're already there anyways. It takes 2 minutes out of your day to kind of walk over there, look around, and scan some barcodes for sure. So, but yeah, man, I try to stay away from anything that's glass or anything that's breakable. Some people sell coffee mugs. Let's stay away from that. And, a lot of the clothing stuff, you can put all the measurements in the photos and in the description. People don't read the descriptions, and they'll ask you 99 questions about the measurements of the items. And then if somebody may order a pair of shoes or, a shirt or clothing and it doesn't fit and they want to return it, that stuff gets, be a pain in the butt. So I try to stick to stuff that's, just for example, something like this that's small, lightweight. It doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It ships media mail, which is $3.19. I don't have to do a lot of cleaning or testing. I can just scan the barcode, take a picture front and back, post it, ship it out, put it in a padded envelope, and be done with it. And usually 9 times out of 10, when you're shipping somebody a brand new item that's new with tags, and they don't have to worry about it fitting them or a style or anything like that. They just put it in the machine and it plays. Usually 9 times out of 10, I don't have returns and it doesn't really get damaged in the mail that often. But that's just me. We had a question here from
I hope your
Well, I
percentage is
mean,
better than that. If you're 9 times out of 10, that means you have a 10% return rate. I hope you're doing better than that.
well, I'm just saying, usually it doesn't. I mean, occasionally stuff breaks in the mail, or occasionally, the
Yeah,
postman loses the package in the mail or something. But
right.
usually, for the most part, you don't have a lot of returns. Whereas, I've sold clothing in the past, and they get it, and they say, "Oh, well, this is an X, and I need a 2X or something." And even though
Right.
it says in the description the size and the measurements, they get them, and it doesn't fit. They're so used to buying stuff on Amazon where they if they don't like it, they can easily return it, and then
Hmm.
they want you to pay to have it mailed back to you, all because they didn't read the dimensions and see that it didn't fit them. So that's just
Exactly.
me personally. We have a question here from Designs by Josie. Says, "What is your advice for new resellers?"
Well, it's the same advice I'd give a bad comedian. Like for me, if I was to go out and try to be a comedian, the first bit of advice I'd be given is don't quit your day job. Um,
But
really. And the thing is, a lot of people think they watch these YouTube videos, they watch these YouTubers, they think, wow, this is easy. And that's kind of why I made my channel Flippin' Ain't Easy, because it isn't. And they think that you can do it even after, I mean, selling since 2002, having to make a decision to do this full time. I thought it was a piece of cake, and I went out and did all the things that I watched on YouTube, to sort of fortify what I was doing part time. And I fell flat on my face the first month, and it was really demoralizing. And then I had to figure out, what, stop trying to be like all the people that you're watching on YouTube. And your situation is unique. It's not the same as the person you're watching on YouTube. Find what works for you. I mean, your sourcing methods, what you're able to find to resell, like the stuff Jeff's selling. Hey, I mean, at the cost he's getting and the bulk numbers that he's getting at, I'd love to get that. But his sourcing situation is different than mine. So that's the toughest part to me in this business. And if you don't have all that figured out before you go full time, it's going to be hard. So do it part time. Don't quit your day job. Find ways to get the merchandise at a good price first. And then after a few months of doing it part time, you could see how scalable it is, because your sourcing is still there. You have a good place to get this merchandise from. Then you can maybe look into jumping in head first. But start selling stuff at home. If you want to get into eBay, some of the stuff that's in your closet, your garage, that maybe you've worn once in the last 2 years or used once in the last 2 years that you really don't need. Try selling that first. Build up some capital money. Don't spend that money, right? And after you get a few, 2, 3, 4, $500, then start buying stuff to resell at like a thrift store, yard sale, or maybe even liquidation.
yeah, well, like John said, if you look around your house and you look in your garage, you look in your attic, you look in your closet, you'll be surprised how much stuff that you still have. You may have a new pair of shoes that somebody got you for your birthday or Christmas or Easter or whatever that's back
Yeah.
in the closet that you never wore, and you're like, I'm not wearing that. So
Yeah.
go look around your house, and if you see something with a barcode, just start scanning stuff you have laying around your house. I'm sure you'll have old DVDs or Blu-rays or video games or VHS tapes or CDs, just items laying around your house with a barcode, and you can look them up and see what the sold comps are. And if it's worth it to you, you can find stuff laying around your house. And I have 6,600 items in my eBay store, and I still get up and go work my full time job, because the difference is that if your sole source of income is reselling, it's commission only. So if you don't sell nothing that month, you still have to eat. You still got to put gas in the gas tank. You still got bills to pay, and by the time you pay for your cost of goods, and by the time you pay the taxes, and the time you take out your eBay fees and all this stuff, shipping costs, you may have started off with this much money, but it
Yeah.
quickly goes to this much, and then out of this much of it's got to be reinvested to go buy more inventory for the following month. So you're constantly hustling. So yeah, if you can do reselling on the side and maybe take that capital and maybe pay your car off, maybe put money towards paying your student loan debt off, put some money in a savings account, you could do that. That's great. So that I would agree to try that out. I'm going to say hello to Terrell Williams is here. I wanted to give a shout out to Anytime Picker is here. Upstate Scavenger is here. Robert is here. He says, hey, Jeff, John, and everyone. Roman says Jeff doesn't get returns. Buyers look at Jeff and is afraid to return something. And Upstate Scavenger says, Jeff, I'm full-time, part-time. So yeah, it feels like that sometimes. So John, let's talk a little bit about how you go sourcing and how people can find these liquidation lots. Because if you can have stuff sent to you in the mail, or you can pick up a big bulk lot of merchandise, that cuts out a whole lot of sourcing time. So let's talk a little bit about how your strategy works. And first of all, before we get into that, do you mind telling people what your numbers were or have been? Because I heard you mention it on your YouTube channel for 90 days.
Well, I make around anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 on my main store on eBay, and that's, you guys got to remember. And a lot of people throw these numbers around. I made $112,000 on my main eBay store last year. We have a secondary store that made like 20 something thousand. So combined, it was like $137,000 just with eBay. But we throw these numbers around, and it sounds impressive, but that's just sales. You know, eBay figures in your shipping into that number, the cost that the buyer pays you for shipping, because I don't do free shipping, the cost of eBay fees, the cost of goods. One thing a lot of people don't take into consideration a lot is your cost of supplies, your shipping supplies, your boxes, your poly bags, you know, just the items. Like I just bought a new shipping desk that it's an adjustable shipping desk that it's a lifesaver. We bought that last year. So all these things that you're looking at, and it, for me, I think I'm working at about a 50 to 60% margin, just depending on the lots that I'm able to get. Now, as far as my sourcing, I buy mostly liquidation, and I will buy a mix of pallets that I find online. You know, some of the major online liquidators, you can go there and, you know, do your homework on that, or you can find a liquidator that's local to you and work with that local liquidator. I have a couple that I work with here, and which is why I was having such a difficult time, because they were out of merchandise for a good solid 2 months.
Right.
Um, there's a site called liquidationmap.com, and you just pull up your area, and there should be just a ton of different possibilities. Once you look at the map, you just zoom into your area, and there should be, unless you live in the boondocks, you should be able to find somebody.
Okay, cool. And so, like when you go look at some of these liquidation pallets of merchandise, is there room to negotiate, or you just show up there and just pay the price they have? Because some of the places have a little bit of wiggle room, I would say, but
So
some of them don't. But it's just the price of gas is going up, so some of
right.
these places are going to have to charge a little bit more, you know, to you, the end consumer, of buying these liquidation pallets, because their costs are going up to have it transported there, right?
Yeah, some places are firm. You know, if you're dealing with an employee of a, let's say you go to a place that's like a liquidator, and they have someone on the floor that's there to help you, you know, and you say there's a sign on there for $400, and you say I'll give you 350. They may not be in the position to give you a deal. You know, it depends on who you're dealing with, depends on how long that stuff's been sitting there, you know, and I'm sure they take all that into consideration. But generally, whatever you see posted is pretty much what you're going to get it at. A lot of the lots that I get, I deal with auctions. So, you know, you may find that you're dealing with a 10%. So you're looking at 10% retail, which is really good if you can get it. And then someone bids you up, and then you have to make a decision. Do I want to pay 15% of what the MSRP is? And, you know, I have a 40/40 method. I've put it at least a couple videos on my YouTube channel. But essentially, what I do, and you can use this method whether you're at Walmart looking at stuff to buy to resell, you know, like in the clearance aisle. The 40/40 method is this: the MSRP is, let's say it's $100 on this item. Well, my 40/40 method is, then that means I'm going to make about $40 if I buy it to resell it. And that's being conservative. A lot of times, if it's an open box or a brand new item, you're going to get about half or more, 50 to 60% retail. But my method allows for disappointment. So I'm going to make $40 off of this $100 MSRP item in most cases. So I'm not going to pay $40 for it, because that's what I'm going to make. I have to be into that for 40% of that. So that basically works out to be $16. So if the clearance price for that item, that $100 MSRP item, is $16 or less, or around 16, then it's definitely a good buy. And as long as the comps on eBay show that it's selling, of course, you don't want to buy something that looks like a good deal that, you know, is other people are selling but hasn't sold. you want to pass on
Yeah.
those items. But my 40/40 is a quick method to figure out. You can bring out your calculator on your smartphone and figure out if either a lot or even a single item is worth a picking to try to flip on eBay.
Right. So now we're going to get a little bit nerdy here, guys, but I want to talk about the difference between a manifested lot versus unmanifested. And I want to talk about there's different types. So when you go there, there might be an electronics section of stuff.
Yeah.
There might be general merchandise. There's different types. So let's talk real quick about a manifested list versus unmanifested. So let's get up into that real quick.
Did you just watch my video I made on that?
I
I
did, but
literally just made a video on that, and it's basically the thumbnail says manifested versus unmanifested. So it's a good question. I'm glad that you asked it. No, I did make a video on this one, and there's two different types of lots. So like the first example I gave you, you walk into that building and they're selling just pallets. They're everywhere, and there's $400 for this one, $300 for that. Chances are those aren't manifested. So you have to eyeball it. You have to see, is this something that I am going to be able to make money off of? So the one way you'd have to do that, that's an unmanifested lot, is to, based on what you can see, because they're not going to let you go in there and start opening things. Usually these are cellophaned off on the pallet. And you're going to have to get your phone out. You're going to have to plug in the brands. You're going to have to assess what you think the condition is. Does this box look to be in decent shape? That doesn't mean what's inside the box is going to be good, but it gives you an idea. And you kind of go through what you can see to determine if that $300 pallet is going to make you some money. If you, figure out, wow, I'm already at making $800 here and I haven't even looked at the other side, that's probably a good buy. Now, the other ones are manifested, and generally you won't find manifested in person. These are lots that you buy or pallets that you buy at online, like an online auction. And half the time you have like 10 pictures that you have to, again, eyeball. And sometimes it won't let you zoom in enough to really tell what that item is. So those are the more difficult unmanifested ones. But the ones that are manifested, you can go in and, get an idea of everything that's being sold within about a 3 to 4% error ratio, and plug that in like on a spreadsheet. And you can use my 40/40 method if you're in a time pinch. Let's say the MSRP for that they'll estimate is $10,000. Well, you can estimate you're going to make about 4,000, and I can't be into this more than 1,600 because otherwise, you're kind of eating into your profits. So that's kind of a ballpark. The bottom line is the manifested lots are usually higher priced because it's more information that everyone has, rather than you're seeing a pallet that's unmanifested and you're like, ooh, I see that Xbox down there in the bottom, and I don't know if anyone's seen that, right?
Yeah.
So you're relying on what you can see, and that's a lot different. So you're going to get a better deal on those unmanifested ones.
All right, let me say hello to a few people in the chat. I wanted to say hey to Anytime Picker is here. Phoenix Flippers is here in the chat. Kevin740 is here. Wanted to say hey to Maya. I want to say Micah. Maya is here in the chat. And I wanted to say hey to Ed, the reselling writer, is here. And I wanted to say hey to Robert is here in the chat. You guys have questions for our guests? Drop it in the chat. Do you have any advice for people if they say, hey, I want to get into this resale game, I want to start buying pallets of merchandise, or I'm interested in buying these wholesale lots of merchandise? What would be like your biggest 2 or 3 tips or piece of advice to help them with their business?
Well, buy something you're familiar with. So if I go out and buy a bunch of bras, I'm going to have a harder time being motivated to sell that and understanding what I'm looking at. So unless you've sold that kind of thing before. So for me, I've always gravitated towards electronics and gadgets, because the bottom line is you're always going to find that one gadget like, wow, I've been wanting to buy one of these, and you don't have to buy one now. But really, I know we're into this to make money, but honestly, it's just fun. When you're buying something, the first pallet I bought was from a site that I'll never buy from again, bulk.com. It was when I was full-time doing this part-time, and I decided, let me buy one of these lots to see if I can, make some money off of this. And it was pretty much a lot of everything. And I absolutely just didn't enjoy myself. Now, I look at it a lot differently now. I can buy the lots that have everything in it, and I'm good with it. But I knew at that time I really wanted to start focusing on things that I like, which is electronics, and that's kind of what I gravitate to. So my number one piece of advice is to do that. Now, my number 2 piece of advice is don't go buying stuff with money you can't afford. I mean, if you need this money to pay your bills, it's probably better off to sell stuff that you have from home, out of your closet, save up that money, don't spend it on anything, and then take a good $1,000 and buy a pretty good pallet. And if you do that, you're gonna make money. The biggest mistake, and I had a family member that got into this business a couple of years ago. I kind of talked them into it. And the biggest mistake you can make is taking that money that you just bought that pallet and you made all these sales and you use it for bills. I know it's tempting, or you use it to buy something you've been wanting, right? Because you can't sustain your business when you do that. You have to be able to have some self-control. And so that's the second piece of advice I would give is don't expect to make money right away. Build your store on eBay, give it a few months, and then allow yourself to bring in a little bit of profit after you built your store up.
Yeah, I see people all the time, and they'll make money and they'll sell stuff on eBay, and all of a sudden, the profits they made from selling on eBay, they went on a vacation or something, and it's like, oh, I went on this vacation for a week to Vegas, and I came back, and now you're having to come up with capital to invest back in your business to buy more merchandise. That's what I was saying. Usually, 9 times out of 10, it's better that you have a full-time job where you have a guaranteed check coming in every week, and then you can do reselling on the side. So,
Right.
hey, man, I want to talk about shipping costs. Because the thing is, on paper, everything may look good on paper, where you see the MSRP and you think to yourself, man, I'm going to make a pretty good, amount of profit if I buy this pallet of merchandise. But then if you're spending $400, $500, $600 to have that stuff shipped to you, then that's going to eat into your profit margin. So can you talk about shipping? And then I wanted to talk about, your profit margins, what you look at when you look at a pallet of merchandise. Go ahead.
Well, when I'm looking at a prospective pallet to buy, I'm calculating in the shipping. Now, a lot of these sites, like your B Stock, your Blue Lots, your direct liquidation.com sites, they will give you, when you plug in your zip code, just a basic idea of what the shipping freight's going to be. Then you have to tack on like $75 if you need a lift gate, another $75 if you're in a residential area. So it can add up. And with the price of gas going up, so is the cost of freight. So if I want something shipped from the East Coast to the West Coast, it used to be about $450. Now it's every bit of maybe $600, $700, $800, $900, maybe $1,000 to get that same pallet shipped to me. So I have to add that in to my total cost. So if I'm paying $1,000 for this pallet and it's $1,000 for me to ship it, I'm looking at $2,000. So I have to actually have an MSRP. I think the math with my 40/40 method is about $12,000 worth of goods or more for it to even be worth me spending that kind of money on the combined shipping and cost of that liquidation lot. So it's becoming harder and harder to source online for that reason as well. I've been watching people, and it's just amazing to me, the people that I'm bidding up against, they're spending like every bit of 50, 60, 70% of MSRP prior to the cost of freight. And I just wonder how they're making money. And don't fall into that trap where you have to get it. You have to have this lot. It's great merchandise, because the last thing you want to do is find yourself in a position where you're no longer trying to make money off of that pallet. You're just trying to get your money back. And so as far as you just got to figure that in as the cost of the pallet itself.
Okay, now I have a question. Let's say if I came to you and I said, all right, John, I got $1,000 to my name that I want to spend and buy this pallet of merchandise. I know it's going to vary depending on from pallet to pallet, but on average, if I came to you and said, hey, I got $1,000 that I want to spend and invest on buying this pallet of let's say Amazon returns or customer returns, what could you typically turn that $1,000 into after you subtract your cost of goods, after you subtracted your eBay fees? How much money do you think you'd be able to double up and turn that 1,000 into 2,000, or what would you say on average you'd be able to turn it into?
It would be an absolute fail if I couldn't do more than 2 to 3 times. 2 to 3 times is low, really. With, let's say, my 40/40 method, I keep talking about that, but I think that's probably the best thing I've come up with this whole YouTube and eBay thing is figuring out a quick way to figure out if something's going to make me money. So 40% to me, if I'm getting open box or new items, and that's the thing with liquidation, customer returns, you're going to get anything from broken, used, open box to brand new sealed, right? So 40% is sort of a way that you can buy these liquidation lots and not get disappointed. So if that's a 10,000 MSRP, I'm shooting for $4,000. Okay. Chances are, if I get a good lot, I'm gonna get $5,000 to $6,000, maybe $7,000 after it's all said and done. That's sales, right? So if I'm into that for 1,600, well, then I'm right there at 2.5, and I'm disappointed at 4,000, right? And I'm making 2.5 times my money. If I make 6,000, 7,000, then that's all the better. Now, when we say make, I don't incorporate shipping into my prices. So I charge the customer extra almost on every item. And that there's a number of reasons for that. But the main reason is if I get a return, I'm not interested in giving you back the money that I used to ship that item to you. So, if I charge you that separate, eBay already has it defaulted to be off where I don't have to give you that money back. But if you build that into the cost of your item, you don't have anything to show eBay or the customer, here's what I spent on shipping, even though they really know it if you bought the label through eBay. But they require you to give that money back, the cost of the item, which you've built in your shipping for. So I keep my shipping costs as low as I can. You use multiple sites, pirate ship. I will use eBay labels with my top rated seller discount and kind of compare the two prices. Using your poly bags, as Ed, the reselling writer, said in the chat, use the free USPS supplies and the bubble mailers. And you do all those things, and you only learn all that stuff from experience. It'll help you, because if you keep the costs low, it helps build your profits. So all those things are considered in there.
I wanted to say hey to Regina. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with us. I was a guest on Regina's channel on Hump Day Hangout. So if you guys want to check her channel out, you go by and do that. Phoenix Flipper says, never tried a pallet, not something I'm into right now. Hey, the thing is, I don't have a big pickup truck or a trailer to haul whole pallets of merchandise. So what I do is I go on places like High Bid and look for wholesale lots of merchandise that I can get. And what they'll do is they'll take a whole big pallet of merchandise and they'll chop it up into 5 or 6 or 7 different orders. And you could go on a thing like High Bid and get wholesale lots. And, like example, I went there before and bought, I think maybe it was 500 or 600 DVDs that were all new into shrink wrap. And I think all included, I spent like $100. So let's say if I spent $100 and I got 400 CDs, I'm paying like a quarter a piece or less. And I could sell each one of them for $10 a piece, let's just say. So $10 a piece times 400, I'm turning my initial buy cost of $100 into $4,000 worth of merchandise.
Now
so even if you
cost of shipping too, or is that?
I went by and picked it up. And if you go on High Bid's website, you can type in High Bid. They have local auction sites that mostly people that live locally in your city. I just went to one in Tampa, and they had, it was 4 big boxes full of DVDs, Blu-rays, and stuff like that were all new in the shrink wrap. So when your cost of goods is a quarter or less, and you're picking up 400 or 500 items that's new in the shrink wrap, and at a bare minimum they're going to sell for at least minimum of $10 a piece, let's say times 400 units, you're looking at possibly turning your $100 investment into $4,000 because your cost of goods is so low. And you're getting stuff that's new in the shrink wrap. There's no cleaning, no testing, no nothing. So I totally understand when you're like, man, for me to have freight shipped to me would cost a lot, or I don't have a truck or a trailer to haul big wholesale lots of pallets. You can chop it down and get wholesale lots where the boxes are this big. You can fit it in the trunk of your car or in your back seat. And I went in there and loaded up the trunk of my car and back seat. And then I even shot a little YouTube video showing you guys how I do it. But, like I said, John did 37,000, you said, last year, just selling
30,000 between 2 accounts on eBay. That's not counting the other sites, but just on eBay.
Okay. Anytime Picker says, do you sell on Amazon or eBay?
Mostly eBay. I do some Amazon, and we're branching out to Mercari. Did a little Mercari last year, but we're going to try to do a little bit more on Mercari as well. Get more eyeballs on our items.
Yeah, for sure. So, John, tell me a little bit about what are some of your future plans or future endeavors, future projects that you have coming down the pike this year for 2022 that we can expect. All the links, by the way, to check out John's channel for YouTube and Instagram are in the description. But tell them a little bit about what are some things that's going to be coming that you got coming down the pike this year.
Well, I'm just trying to grow my channel. We're, like I said, we're over a little over 10,000 subscribers, and just trying to get more content out to you. And I'm the kind of YouTuber that I don't believe in churning out content for the sake of churning out content. You know, it has to actually be something meaningful. And if I don't feel like it's really meaningful or relevant, then I'll just skip the video. And I'm going to try to get more live streams and more content out this year. I think I was doing like 2 or 3 videos a week. I want to try to do 4 or 5 a week. And so it's just trying to do more. But I got to tell you, it's just a challenge. It's really a challenge to try to give out relevant content that's fresh and not repeating the same old thing over and over. There's a lot of channels out there that they tend to forget maybe that their base has watched that same video a week ago, but they'll put the same video out again. And I don't like doing that. So just trying to keep it fresh. It's just a challenge. Now on the eBay, Amazon side, you know, we're just going to try to expand out a little bit, get more eyeballs on our listings. Like I was saying to Mercari, the problem with Amazon is, you know, it's just tough to get gated in a lot of these name brand items. Gated means that approved to sell that item or that brand on Amazon. And I'd say for me, it's like a crapshoot. I go in and I try to list an item a brand that I've never listed before. And it's a crapshoot whether I'll be approved or told, no, you need to have like an invoice for X amount of these items before we'll approve you to resell. So that's tough. And the fact is, Amazon, the atmosphere, if you think it's tough on eBay to sell with all the rules, try selling on Amazon, because it is even tougher. And they don't give you the kind of leeway that eBay does. There's many stories of people making innocent mistakes that have lost their accounts forever. So it's just really tough, which is why, you know, there's many people that say, don't branch out until you figured out the first site. You know, get the experience under your belt, like on eBay, before you go out to the other side.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you said you were talking about Rally Roots earlier. They live locally here in Tampa, and they said the same thing. They said, hey, you know, there's no reason to jump out to these other platforms. It's like if you can get your business where you're doing over $10,000 a month consistently on eBay month after month after month, then branch out and try Amazon or Mercari or one of these other platforms. Unless you have like a service that's going to be like List Perfectly or something that's going to, you know, that's going to send out all your items for you on multiple platforms. But hey, I wanted to say hey real quick to the Disgruntled Octopus is here. I wanted to say hey to the Reseller Niche Mo is here in the chat. And I wanted to say hey to Roman is here. So John, do you have any other final words of wisdom you could leave our audience with as far as reselling? If somebody came to you on the street and said, hey John, I saw you on YouTube. Hey, I heard you made $130,000 last year on reselling on eBay. Like, what would be like some advice that you would give them to help them get maybe motivated or inspired or something? Do you have some words of wisdom you can leave our audience with?
Well, I would give them the benefits of it. Of course, you don't have that boss breathing down your neck. You know, you don't have to worry about being evaluated. Like when I was in management, my upper management people would evaluate all of our performances. And you know, you're your own boss, and it's easier to put in the extra time that you really need to when you're your own boss, and you look at your checking account and you know you need to get into high gear to make it work. But the advice I'd give somebody, and I've given this many times on my channel, is that how you make money in this business, I'm 100% convinced it's bottom line is your sourcing. If you source well, if you have good quality merchandise to source, if you can source at a good price like Jeff does and keep his costs low, and you're going to give yourself a head start above your competition. Bottom line is 95% of the items that you are going to resell on eBay are going to have some type of competition. And if you can create yourself more room to give that discount, maybe give a better offer to that watcher, or best offer discount than your competition, you're going to be able to make more sales in the long run than that person. So always focus on keeping your cost of goods as low as possible.
All right. Hey, John, before we let you go, I want you to tell everybody where they can follow you on YouTube and Instagram. I have your links listed down below in the description, but let them know where they can go by and check you out and follow you.
Yeah, on YouTube, it's Flippin, Flippin, Aint, Aint, easy, EASY. There are no apostrophes at all. It's just the 3 words. And that's where you can find me on YouTube, Flippin Ain't Easy. And then on Instagram, it's Flippin Ain't Easy 2020. And that's where you can find me. And you can also email me at flippinainteasy2020@gmail.com. I do like to help people. And I may not get back to you right away, but I usually get back to 99% of the people who do bother to email me at all. So that's where you can find me. Come check out the channel, though. Come check out the channel. We have a lot of good, if you're a reseller, really of any platform, there's a lot of good advice. And not just for me, there's other, some of you, I've seen some of the names that I've talked to also on the channel. A lot of these guys, like Ed, the reselling writer, they will also be there to answer your questions. This is a good resource, especially when you're starting new, to reach out to some of these channels and to reach out and try to get the help whenever you're up against a particular situation.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a subscriber of John's channel, have been for a long time, and maybe one of these days you'll invite me and I'll come on your channel. So, anyways, guys,
I will. I just haven't done. I just haven't done the Q&A thing.
Well, you go live all the time, John. You could just invite me on sometime, or it's cool. But anyways, you guys have a great weekend.
I'm gonna hold you to it now.
Hey, you've been on my channel like 2 or 3 times. I've been invited 0 times, Sean. So you gotta hook me up, bro. I'll come and hang out with you. So you can leave me hanging out here to drive, bro. Anyways, you guys have a great weekend. I'm gonna be back on this weekend on Saturday, Sunday, and I'll be talking all about the courier business. So if that's something you're interested in, we're gonna hang out and talk about that this weekend. But till then, you guys have a great weekend. You can go follow our guests. All the links are gonna be down below for Flippin' Ain't Easy for YouTube and Instagram. I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great weekend. Bye, everybody. Bye, guys.
All right, everybody. Have a good day.